Hi, I'm Sophie, the beauty director at Company, and one of the things I always get asked is what I actually use myself and what's in my makeup bag. So I thought I would take you through it and the contents right now. So this is my makeup bag. As you can see, it's pretty big. This is one from Topshop because I find it fits everything I need in it, and otherwise my brushes never fit. My normal routine generally includes this foundation. This is Illamasqua Skin Base, and I use it in, I think this one is shade number 9, but I tend to vary between like 9 and 10. The reason I really like this one is that it tends to stay put once I put it on, so it covers everything really well, but it doesn't look too heavy or chalky, and it's probably one of the only foundations that I find is still on my face at the end of the day. So that one I tend to apply with a brush like this. This is a Real Techniques one with a flat end, and I tend to find that better than those flat ones because they seem to kind of just swipe my foundation around my face, whereas I find that doing it with this tends to really buff it into your skin. So I usually put a bit on the back of my hand and just sort of get off the excess, buff it into my hand a bit, and then I start blending over my face, working kind of from the centre out. Then the next thing I always follow up with is this concealer, which is NARS, it's called NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. And I love this because it kind of covers, it doesn't cover like super bad blemishes, but it covers pretty much everything else, and it doesn't look heavy on the skin, so it's really great for underneath your eye area. I tend to use this one, which is MAC 287, and I like this because it's quite flat, so it's really good for getting in underneath your eye area. So I apply it, I generally just apply again a bit to the back of my hand, take off the excess, and then I apply it all around here, and sometimes a little bit just around the nose and mouth as well. So I get really bad dark circles, so if I want a little bit extra coverage, then before I do my concealer I use this product, which is Bobbi Brown's Corrector. I'll show you it there. And the shade I use is called Light to Medium Peach, and the reason I go for that one is because I've got quite sort of grey-blue tone dark circles, and the orange really counteracts that. So again, I use the same brush to apply this, and if I'm doing this as well as concealer, I put this on first. So I'll apply that all over underneath the eye area, and sometimes a bit on the inner corner as well to get rid of that darkness, and then I'll go over it with the NARS concealer on top. So then I always set with my foundation with a powder. I use this one quite a lot, which is by Terry. It's called Hyaluronic Hydra Powder. Looks white, so it's one shade for everyone, but it doesn't obviously look white on the skin, so it blends in really well. It's very light. I mean, it doesn't really even feel like powder, it almost feels like liquid when you apply it to your skin. It's really silky, so it feels actually quite strange on the face. But the reason I like this is that it takes on the shine, because I tend to get quite a lot of shine on the T-zone, but it doesn't look powdery on the skin at all. It never looks chalky. So I generally dust that all over I use this brush, which is Bobbi Brown's powder brush, and I dust it all over my face, definitely on the T-zone. I don't tend to put much on the cheeks, but a little bit underneath the eye area just to set my concealer. Then I tend to do eyes next before I do anything else, and I always curl my eyelashes. I always sleep with an eye mask on, so it tends to flatten my eyelashes and make them point downwards. So I swear by these, which are Shu Uemura's eyelash curlers, and the reason I like these is just because they give a really good curl that lasts, but they don't make your lashes have an obvious kink. So instead of getting that sort of sharp bend, which looks a bit fake, they give a really nice sort of smooth curve and uplift, and it just really opens up your eyes. And the next thing I tend to apply is a base for my eyeshadow. So I use this one quite a lot. It's a paint pot by MAC called Painterly, and it's quite a neutral sort of shade. You can see that it's a kind of taupey beige kind of colour, and sometimes I'll apply that just on its own if I don't want to do a more complicated eye look. But if not, it also works really well as a base for your eyeshadow, so it helps it to grip and stay put, and also makes the pigment a lot more intense. So I'll apply that more often than not. I just do that with my fingers, so I'll just apply it, dab it all over my lids, kind of almost up to the brow bone. It's quite a neutral shade that's quite close to my skin tone, so it doesn't look particularly obvious on, but it just evens out any discoloration on your eyelids and makes your eyes look a lot more awake. Then on top of that, if I can be bothered, I will do some eyeshadow. This is one of my favourite shades, which is a MAC shade called Satin Taupe. I'll show you that now. So it's got a very slight shimmer, more of a sheen really, but it's not glittery at all. It's kind of a sort of mauvey brown shade, and the reason I like this one is that it kind of, I don't know, on my eyes it kind of makes the green look a little bit more intense, so it's quite a basic shade, but because it's got that mauvey tone, it's a bit more flattering than most browns. Some other brown shades I find can make you look a bit tired, but this one works every time. So I usually apply that with a sort of soft fluffy brush like this one. This is a Liz Earle blend and contour brush, and I like that you can kind of use it to do everything and just use one brush then on your eyes. So I'll just apply a little bit of this, and then I'll apply it along the lash line a little bit, and then into the socket contour. If I want a more dramatic look, then I'll build it up over the lid, but I slightly kind of wing it out at the outer corners, because I've got quite round eyes, so concentrating the colour on the outer edge makes them look a little bit more feline. In terms of liner, it really depends on how dramatic I'm going to go, but one of the things I often do is to use a brush like this. So using this end of it, which is a flat liner brush. This one is by Laura Mercier, and it's actually got a pointy end as well. But what I'll do is use this with like a deeper shade of eyeshadow, so sometimes black or like a dark brown, and just press it into the eyeshadow, and then use it to make an eyeliner along my top lash line, and also sometimes along the lower lashes as well. So it gives a kind of softer look than doing a full liquid liner or a pencil. But it's a really good way of making all of your eyeshadow shades into an eyeliner product as well without buying something else. If I do want a more dramatic, intense look, then I'll go for a pencil as well. I really like this one, this Mascara one, which is called Honor, it's called. So it's a brown, but again it's got a slightly purpley undertone, a bit like the MAC Satin Taupe shadow, which I found is just a lot more flattering on your eyes. So it's a bit, it's a bit less intense than black, but it still gives really good definition. And I'll apply that all along my top lash line, and if I want something more dramatic, then into the lower waterline as well, so just on the inside of my lower eyelashes. Sometimes I do go for a liquid, well, a gel liner instead. So I really like this one, which is a Bobbi Brown one. This is their long wear gel eyeliner. It's a real cult product because it really does stay put. This I'll apply with a pointier brush, so the other end of my Laura Mercier dual-ended brush, and I'll apply a little bit of this just to the top lash line, never on the lower with this. You can use it in the waterline as well, but I find that's a bit too intense for the kind of look I go for. So I'll apply this just along the top lashes and kind of wing it slightly up at the outer corners. Then mascara. So my current favourite one is this one, Dior Iconic Overcurl. And the reason I like that is that it really does hold, once I've curled my lashes, it really holds the shape. I do find some of the mascaras tend to weigh my lashes down, and even if I've curled them in the morning, I'll then have to recurl them if I'm going out in the evening, whereas this seems to sort of set the curl in place and keep it in shape. It's got a curvy brush. I don't know actually whether you're meant to use which way up you're meant to use it. I tend to do it that way up with the curve in a kind of C shape, and I apply it a few coats, a tiny bit on the lower lashes as well, but I concentrate most of it at the roots, and then a little bit more at the outer corners as well to kind of emphasise, to make my eyes look a bit more almond shaped and less round. And sometimes I actually do the brow bit before I do my eye makeup, but it depends on how I'm feeling on the day. This product I really like is a pencil by Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's called Brow Wiz, and it's got a really fine pencil on one end, which is the reason I like it, because you can kind of create individual hairs and they look really natural without, it doesn't give you that kind of heavy drawn on look. So I don't apply this all over my eyebrows. I actually don't think I've got any on, in fact, today. But I'll just do the areas where I've got a little bit missing, so just to balance out my brows. Then afterwards you apply the other end. So it has on this end a little comb just to brush them up, and I found that really helps to then blend the colour. So if I've applied it just in one area, I can then sweep this all the way through, and it lifts my brows a bit, creates more of an arch, but it also softens the pencil so it doesn't look too harsh. Moving on to blush and bronzer. I'm a bit schizophrenic with this, it kind of varies depending on what look I'm going for, but one product I do really like to use is this Lip and Cheek Tint by Tory Burch. It's a new product. This one's called Cat's Meow, so I love the name as well, but it's a really nice sort of slightly corally pink shade, and it's a cream blush, so I tend to apply this actually with a brush quite similar to this but a little bit smaller. Sometimes I'll dab it on with my fingers, but I do find if I apply it with a flat-ended brush I get more of a flawless kind of effect. So I'll apply that just mainly on the apples of my cheeks, but I've got quite a round face, so I'll always slightly blend the colour up towards my ear line as well, because that just helps to slightly subtly contour my face. Then I'll go for bronzer, and I tend to use this one, which is NARS Laguna. I like this because it's not shimmery, but it does give your skin a bit of a glow, and it's a colour that really works with olivey toned skin. So I'll apply this normally with either a big brush like this, big fluffy one like the Bobbi Brown powder brush, or occasionally if I want more of a contour, I've got this one I also swear by, which is Shumura's 20H pony brush. And that one's good because it gives you a bit more of an angled look, so you can sculpt a little bit more up towards your cheekbone. If I am doing it with this fluffy brush, the trick I really like to do, which is just to apply it in a, I've got brushes on my face, brush hairs, I'll apply it in a sort of number 3 on my face, so going from the top in the centre of my hairline down along my cheekbone, so that's making the kind of the middle bit of the number 3, and then down underneath my jawline. And I'll do another reverse 3 on the other side of my face, and that just really helps to give you a subtly contoured look. You know, it's not kind of full-on harsh sculpting, but it just helps to shape your face a little bit. One other thing to show you, which is an alternative to my NARS Laguna that's recently arrived in the office. This hasn't launched yet, but I love this product. I've recently been trying it. It's called Guerlain Terracotta Sun Celebration, and I'll show you because it's rather pretty. So worn off a little bit. You can see it's got like a sun in the middle part, which it gives a bit of shimmer, but to be honest that will go soon and I prefer it without shimmer. So the way I apply this is to sweep along that way to do the bronze part and do my number 3 like that, and then do the other half and just add a little touch on the apples of my cheeks. So I mix the two together so the coral and pink kind of blend. To finish, I pretty much always go for this if I'm just doing a neutral in the office day-to-day look. This is a Chanel lipstick and the shade's called Boy, and it's a really nice sort of pinky beige. It's a really sort of sheer texture, so it doesn't give sort of obvious colour, but it works really well with, if you're emphasising your eyes, just having like a neutral nude. And this is so easy to apply, and I put this on more like lip balm because it's really moisturising. So, you know, I'll put this on without even looking in the mirror throughout the day to touch on my makeup. And then the last thing, which isn't strictly makeup, but I do tend to use these, are these eye dew drops. So when I'm looking a bit tired, I always use these, often after I've done my makeup actually. Well, it'd probably be better to do it before. But they really brighten the whites of my eyes, so I swear by those for making me look a bit less tired. And that's my routine. It looks a scary amount of makeup, but yeah, that's my day to day.